The International Criminal Court is a joke, a kangaroo court that's launching a shameful attack on the world's only Jewish state. The ICC has announced it's investigating Israel for war crimes, not Syria, not ISIS, but Israel, the only democracy in the Middle East. Compare that to Syria, where 250,000 people have been killed since 2014. Now, listen to how Fatou Bensouda, the chief prosecutor of the court, responds when asked if they'll investigate Syria for war crimes.
At the moment, no, because we don't have jurisdiction. Syria is not a state party. And I know there's no official complaint before us.
So she's saying that they don't have jurisdiction as Syria isn't a member of the ICC. But that same logic should apply to Israel, as it also isn't a member. Which, by the way, is why America opposes this investigation.
The ICC, as we have said, has no jurisdiction over this matter. Israel is not a party to the ICC, and it has not consented to the court's jurisdiction.
So how does the ICC justify opening an investigation into Israel?
The preliminary examination into the situation in Palestine has concluded with the determination that all the statutory criteria under the Rome Statute for the opening of an investigation have been met.
She's saying the criteria for opening an investigation into Israel has been met, but clearly that criteria hasn't been met with Syria, even though civilians are raped, gassed and beheaded by ISIS and Assad. So what is the criteria she's claiming has been met?
I am satisfied, 1, that war crimes have been or are being committed in the West Bank, including East Jerusalem and the Gaza Strip. 2, that potential cases arising from the situation would be admissible. And 3, that there are no substantial reasons to believe that an investigation would not serve the interest of justice. As there has been a referral from the State of Palestine, there is no requirement to seek pretrial chambers authorization before proceeding to open an investigation.
So she's basically saying two things. One, the ICC has jurisdiction because a state called Palestine made the referral. And two, war crimes have been committed. Let's look at both of those claims. Palestine is not a state, which is precisely why the US opposes this investigation.
The Palestinians do not qualify as a sovereign state, and therefore are not qualified to obtain membership as a state in or to participate as a state in or to delegate jurisdiction to the ICC.
Exactly. Palestine is not a state. In the eyes of the law, statehood requires a defined territory. The Palestinian leadership have purposely avoided making territorial statements as they believe all of Israel is Palestine. Also, for the record, when autonomous regions similar to the Palestinian Authority make referrals, they're turned down, which is exactly what happened when Kurdistan requested the ICC open an investigation into ISIS. I mean, the ICC is such a pathetic institution that they can't investigate ISIS, but they'll bend over backwards to investigate Israel. These are the war crimes the ICC is accusing Israel of committing: building settlements and using disproportionate force in the 2014 Gaza war. So let's debunk both. This is a joke. When China moves millions of Chinese into occupied Tibet and carries out a genocide against Uyghur Muslims, we don't hear dicky boo from the court. But when a Jew builds a house in Jerusalem, a city where Jews have been the majority population for centuries, the ICC accuses Israel of war crimes. To help illustrate just how perverse the charge of war crimes is, the ICC are investigating Israel's actions from 2014 until today. But what happens if we compare the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to the 20 most deadly conflicts from this period? It barely registers. Most of the casualties are from the Gaza war, a war where Israel did everything it could to minimize civilian deaths, which is why 80% of those killed were male and the majority of them were of fighting age, unlike in other conflicts where huge numbers of women and children are slaughtered. I keep talking about 2014 as the ICC are starting their investigation from the 13th of June 2014. This date is important as the day before, 3 Israeli teenagers were kidnapped and killed by Hamas. This was the act of aggression which led to the Gaza war, but it's left out of the investigation so that Israel can be framed as the aggressor. And finally, what about the character of Fatou, the prosecutor spearheading this assault? It might surprise you to learn that she worked for a Gambian military dictatorship that's accused of human rights abuses. Listen to the testimony of this man who was tortured under that regime.
I was arrested by a group of 4 NIA soldiers in my house and extra soldiers outside my house. They started to tie my fingers, my toes, to a socket to start to electrify me. They used that on my ears, my nose, my penis, and my lips. They put me on the floor, naked. A man came, putting on a military shoes, who stamped my hand, this one, and removed the bone.
Permission, please.
They put me on the concrete, my hands on the floor, and my legs at the back. They opened my legs and told me that we will show you that we mean business. We will deal with you. We don't play. They said, okay, whatever you want to do, you can do with my body, because I am helpless. They took the knife, start cutting from here. They cut from here up to this back. So blood was coming throughout.
Who was the prosecutor of this case?
Fatou Bensouda. He was the mastermind.
She was the prosecutor.
Yes. She was the mastermind of everything that we went on through.
This is the person making moral judgments about Israel. What sort of a clown world are we living in when someone implicated in the torture of political prisoners for a military dictator is questioning the morality of the only democracy in the Middle East? Make no mistake, this case is not about justice, it's about politics. The ICC is a joke, a kangaroo court that's launching a shameful attack on the world's only Jewish state. I think Netanyahu nails it with this statement.
This court that was established to prevent the repetition of the Nazi horrific crimes committed against the Jewish people is now turning its guns against the one and only state of the Jewish people.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to help us make more videos like this, you can support us on Patreon or by purchasing our merch, or by simply sharing this video and following us on all of our social media. Don't forget, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell, otherwise you will miss these videos as YouTube buries them.